enslaved Africans were brought here over 400 years ago. Since then, no part of America's story has been untouched by the legacy of slavery. This is the 1619 Project.
The New York Times
1619 Project.
My father, he always flew a flag in our front yard.
One thing about Dad, he was patriotic.
He was a part of that United States Army. They served their country, but hey, you serve your country don't mean your country gonna serve you.
The truth is, Black Americans have always been foundational to the idea of American freedom.
This Black History Month, the New York Times Magazine's award-winning 1619 Project is taking the leap from the page to the screen in a new 6-part docuseries. And with us now, the executive producer and the host of the Hulu docuseries, Nikole Hannah-Jones. She's a creator, of course, of the 1619 Project and a Pulitzer Prize winner for a domestic correspondent covering racial injustice for the New York Times. Nikole, thank you so much for being with us. Let me first of all ask about your concerns about taking this project from the page to the screen. And when you saw all the episodes, were you able to exhale and go, whoo, we did it?
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me on and always being willing to talk about this project. I had a lot of concerns. I mean, I'm a print journalist, an old school print journalist. And how does one translate these really dense historical essays to the screen? But I had an amazing team with Roger Ross Williams, another executive producer, and the showrunner, Shoshana Guy, who knew how to best do this. I think the hardest part for me, Joe, was having to watch myself interviewing people on camera. I felt very exposed.
Yeah, it's always been a challenge for me. But as you can tell, I'm just not as self-conscious as I should be. So as you go through these, I love you start with democracy. And you move through just a general episode on race, then music, then capitalism, then fear. You really do move through so many topics that touch on so many parts of the Black experience in America. First of all, I've got to ask, how did you narrow it down to the topics that you addressed and discussed?
Yes, well, what we were hoping to do with this, obviously, is reach a whole new audience who maybe never heard of the 1619 Project or haven't read the essays in the book. And this project has always been making an argument about America, that if you want to understand the United States today, you have to understand slavery and its legacy. So we picked the episodes based on what are the most kind of expansive foundational ideas and institutions in America, and how might we use this documentary to help people understand them. So it really wasn't that hard. These were the ones that we felt were kind of most critical. And then, of course, the final episode, Justice, is an argument for reparations, that if we acknowledge this history, then we have to try to make repair.
Yeah, I've loved having you on the show, loved talking to you, because we obviously come from very different backgrounds. I've read some of your speeches and I'm like, oh my God, she's so pessimistic about the future. And I'm so optimistic about the future, right? For good reasons. I'm a white guy, born in the middle class, middle of the American century. And then it's like 1619 versus 1776. But instead of verses, my thought's always been, and I know you shared this thought, we can engage in dialectical thinking. And the two can coexist side by side. And with a synthesis, we become better as a nation. And we see, like what I talk about on this show, the miracle of 2020, where it was Black women in Philadelphia, Black women in Fulton County, Black women in Milwaukee, Black women in Detroit, that, in my opinion, helped save American democracy when they were the very ones excluded from it the longest.
Absolutely. I mean, this is why I always love being in conversation with you about this, is we don't have to come from the same place. We don't even have to have the same identical outlook on America to understand that 1619 is important. It's important for us to understand the United States and in 1776. And that if we want to have a fuller, more honest grappling with the United States, we have to deal with all of it. And then we don't actually have to come from the same point of view. And we don't all have to watch the 1619 Project and agree with its conclusions, but it's a conversation worth having. And that's not a dangerous conversation. That's actually, to me, a conversation that helps us come closer together, because we can see America from the perspective of those who have so often been left out. And yet, as you know, in the opening episode, Democracy, who have fought and believed in the highest ideals of this country. And I think that is a lesson that all of us as Americans can take, that if we have this more expansive view of our fellow citizens and believe that critique of our country is actually the highest call of patriotism, then we might actually be able to build the country that we all say that we want.
Eugene.
Nicole, congratulations on the series. Eugene Daniels here. Every time that you've done something like this with the 1619 Project, have conversations about race, actual honest conversations about race, we see this backlash, and we've continued to see a backlash from certain parts of this country as as Black people have tried to say, hey, no, let us into this conversation about history, because Black history is American history. So I guess talk about continuing to do this work as that backlash continues and you start seeing it at the highest levels of government.
Yes, it's become very predictable now. So, now that the documentary series is out and we are seeing that same kind of backlash being ginned up, my response to it is, we've already been there. What else can you possibly say that hasn't been said? But I think there's something much more central happening, which is that the history of Black Americans is so inconvenient to the narrative of America that there are, powerful interests that haven't ever wanted us to grapple truthfully. That's why we have Governor DeSantis banning AP African American Studies in Florida. That's why we have all these so-called anti-critical race theory laws that are trying to make it more difficult to teach about racism and to teach about what Black Americans have experienced. Because if you acknowledge that, then you have to acknowledge that we were founded on these great ideals, but we have not lived up to them. So to me, the backlash is a sign of the impact. The backlash is a sign, of who doesn't want us to grapple honestly with our history. And the reason that is if we are more honest about our history, then we choose different policies, right? Then we understand that so much of the inequality we see has been architected, and that if we want to undo it, we can.
David.
Nicole, David Ignatius, congratulations on the new TV project. Just want to ask you to step back a bit and speak with us about whether, broadly speaking, you still see, in Martin Luther King's words, the arc of history bending toward justice on these issues. As you look at America, are people adjusting to, thinking about, being challenged by these ideas? And are we moving in a positive direction, or do you see something that's frozen?
Well, of course, I have tremendous respect for Dr. King, but what I would argue is that the arc of the universe doesn't bend one way or another. We bend it, right? So when we think that it bends naturally towards justice, then I think it really alleviates us of the necessity to act in ways that bring about the country that we want. So if it bends towards justice, it's because we have made a decision as a people that we want to be a country that is more just. And we are in a challenging period right now. We saw the racial reckoning of 2020. It was very short-lived. And then we saw really a racial backlash. And I think we're still in that period. So we've always had these kind of two souls. Dr. King also said America's a schizophrenic nation, right? That we can hold opposing ideals in our head at the same time. And I think what we have to decide as Americans is which country do we want to be? Do we want to be the country that begins in 1619 with the practice of slavery? Or do we want to be the country that was conceived in 1776 with the ideas of liberty and equality? I think that's unknown. I think we always are seeing the tension and the fight between these two halves.
So, Nicole, obviously so many people have criticized the 1619 Project. that have never read it. Right? They've seen a couple of tweets on it, and yet they're world-renowned experts on the 1619 Project. I'm sure the same will be true for this Hulu series as well. But I want you, if you could, just talk to somebody that hasn't read the 1619 Project and might not be thinking about watching this, and just talk to them, explain to them why it's so important that they give it a chance, they take a look at it, and they open their mind.
Yes, thank you. I mean, that really is my argument. Is just see for yourself. Come to it with an open mind. Don't allow other people to shape whether you think this is a worthy endeavor or not, and whether you want to engage with it. I think every episode, people will be enlightened and they will be surprised, and they will see the care that we took in creating this project, and that this is not the story of Black America. This is the story of America. And one of the things, for instance, in the capitalism episode, Joe, is we don't argue that all capitalism is bad. We say there are different forms of capitalism, and that all American workers of all races, in many ways, are hurt by a system that was founded through the most extraordinary exploitation of labor. So this is the American story. And again, I'm not typically a hopeful person, but I think ultimately the series is hopeful, because what it says is we have constructed the inequality in our society, but we have the ability to construct a more fair society. And that if we understood that Black Americans have believed in this country with a fervor that belies their treatment, then we see the way out. You know, when you, the other few weeks ago, we're talking about the role that Black women played in saving democracy, and I texted you because I just so appreciated that framing and acknowledgement that people think the 1619 Project is not patriotic. I don't argue it's either way. That's not the role of a journalist. But what I will say is we can see in the example of Black people what a true love for country is, which is to fight to hold your country to account and to believe in your country, even when your country doesn't seem to believe in you.